Wow.
See you, Big Dog. I seen you talking about January 9th, dude. That's what I'm excited about. Tryouts, baby.
What is up, everyone? Welcome to Knuckle Up Podcast. Tonight, we have a special guest with us. We are all very excited about it. We're still waiting on him. He said he would meet us here in a few minutes. Stitch Durant.
Oh, I thought you were talking about me because I'm back.
It does not get any better than that, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, me coming back, I know it.
As always, we have Ring Boy Clay Teal with us today and Knuckle Up Sean. What is happening, fellas? How's everybody doing?
Well, you know, I just got done running around the house screaming like a teenage girl, like a 14-year-old girl, just screaming my head off, running around the house, so excited to talk to Stitch.
You know, I'm all right. I'm recovering from sickness. It is not COVID. I did get COVID tested. It came back negative because COVID can't touch you, boy. It ain't like that. So it's probably just eating too much McDonald's and stuff. I'll just get over it. But I'm back. I'm ready to attack, especially for this interview, my man.
We are so happy that he does not have COVID because I was going to have to sleep in my car during our trip to Florida. But now I can share a hotel room with Clay. I'm so happy.
Yeah,
hey, we don't got any sponsors yet. We're still sleeping in the car.
It's because we ain't going to be able to find our way home.
That's why I'm trying to get Juan to come. He's got a bigger vehicle. You know what I'm saying? We can just fold the seats and cuddle.
Hey, Juan.
I mean, he's got a room for you guys.
Stitch said he's trying to get in, bro.
You better let Stitch in. Oh, look, my mama's here.
He's not on here, man. Here, I'm going to send you the link again.
Yeah, you better resend that link, fellas. This is some amateur work. Don't make me say his name. I'll bring him up right here on the podcast.
This is why we don't let Sean do anything.
We apologize, Stitch.
Oh, remember? Because StreamYard, you can't log in on Messenger, so I got to explain to him to open it in Chrome.
Beautiful. Tell him he's got to hit copy link and then do it. We didn't know it was like this. We might have to do a Messenger one. Sorry, we thought Sean had this all figured out, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, at least we get the Lilo comments out early, Phil Johnson. Thanks for that one. So anyway, Jonesy says, glad to hear Clay is good to go.
Jonesy, that's my guy.
So we had an interview today. This interview is a little controversial, just to let everybody know. We will be putting a link out, but it won't be on our Facebook. We'll be putting it to our website. So be on the lookout for that. Viewer and reader and listener discretion is advised.
I also want people
and I would like to start right now. I mean, there will be a disclaimer before you watch it, but Knuckle Up Podcast does not support the views, statements, or opinions of the individual that we interviewed. This is possibly the most controversial interview I can see us having. I mean, I don't see it getting any more controversial than this.
Yeah, and if we're going to bring it up, I also want him to know, because I know he's probably watching, I hate your guts, and you're a POS, and I would love, you know what, we're just going to stop there. Anyway, it's a interview I don't agree with / I'm not involved with. You won't see your boy there. So if you only want to see Sean, this ugly mug, I don't blame you. Skip out on it. This dude doesn't even deserve clout, but it is what it is.
Listen, what I can tell you guys is you will be entertained from start to finish of this. And at the end of the day, it's nothing worse than you'll see on TV. I'll leave it at that.
It's nothing worse than that Dallas Cowboy sweater. I'll tell you that right now.
Brother, man, leave.
Yeah, I'm surprised we haven't gotten banned for that Dallas Cowboys star on this.
That's what I'm saying.
You know what? You know what the old saying is? Follow the North Star to home. Follow the Dallas Star to greatness.
How many playoff wins did y'all have?
What do you mean in the last 22 years or ever?
This last year, obviously, the only year that matters.
Oh, no. See, man, listen, once you're a Dallas fan, time is not an abstract. It's an abstract thing. We don't really follow it.
It moves slower.
Yeah, you kind of still live in the 70s, 80s.
Bro, I'm from Texas. I know the equation. You know what I'm saying? I broke the equation down many times, and that's why I'm not a Cowboys fan.
How is Stitch doing down there?
He is, well, I said to him, you're going to have to copy it, open it in Chrome. He said, doing that now, brother. I'm old school. I said, I got you.
There he is, man. There he is.
I knew he'd get it done.
Y'all ready for this?
Oh, we're ready.
What you
And
got?
now the man, the legend,
No.
What's up, guys?
Durant.
Man, you got to thank my wife for this shit because I don't know what's going on.
Hey, we appreciate you, Mama Duran.
Oh, my man, I know, me too, man.
How are you doing today, man? How are you?
Same old shit that I've been doing for the last year. You know, just it's for me, it's a good reason to be lazy, bro. I earn my time and I just kick back and enjoy life. You know, so been doing some work, you know, and so they're doing all right. You know, I just turned down Jessica McCaskill fighting the rematch with Cecilia Brakas in Chicago because I'm not ready to travel, man. You know, I'm doing the fights here in Vegas, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, man, trying to stay safe. That's the number one priority.
Yeah,
So
you
we won't be
get
seeing you in Tampa? We won't
What's
be seeing
that?
you in Tampa at BKFC Knucklemania? You won't be there?
Man, I'd love to. I'm not ready to travel, bro. You know, I've turned down Triple G in Florida, of course, all the bare knuckle fights, and a New Year's Eve show in Tokyo, and you know, I'm just and the only reason, I mean, for the money, not the reason, but I've done like 25 shows here in Vegas with Top Rank in the bubble, so it's like 20 minutes away, so I don't have to travel, none of that stuff. So,
That's awesome.
too
That's
good.
awesome.
Yeah.
Putting in the work when you want to. I love it. You deserve it at this point, my man.
Yeah.
Work when you want to. You the legend.
Yeah, I was you know, Bones Adams, right? Great friend of mine, real good friend. My daughter and some people are filming a documentary, and they wanted to use his gym, and you know, he said, "Nah, I got guys here till 8:30 tonight and all that." He goes, "Hey," he goes, "I'm not like you, man, where you just show up and get paid." I can't complain, man.
Hey, facts are facts, though. You can't be mad.
Right, no, exactly, man. You guys give me a minute to get some water, okay?
Do your thing, bro. Do your thing.
Hold on.
Hey, it's kind of surreal, ain't it? You're like,
Who won?
Hey,
Me?
I met some people, right? You know what I'm saying? I met some people, but I got a little starstruck there for a second.
I was gonna say, man, we talked. I got nervous for this one.
I think even Facebook users got a little starstruck, man. They're everybody's like the legend himself, the GOAT. Oh, absolutely,
Yeah.
man.
We got Kevin
You already
Smith,
know.
my brother, my friend.
Kevin Smith in the comments.
What up, Kevin Smith? I just messaged you back, my man. Welcome to the show. Welcome back, my. All right, Sean, you want to go ahead and kick it off?
All right, you ready to start, Stitch?
Let's roll, man.
All right, man. Tell us a little bit about. I read that I was a farmer, you know, years back. I read that you were a farmer up until you were 18, man. Tell us a little bit about that.
You were a farmer or a farm worker?
I was a farm worker.
Yeah.
Very good point.
I work for the master.
Yes. Same here, brother.
But the difference of being the master or working for the. But no, I grew up as a farm worker in the San Joaquin Valley of California, which is for the most part the agricultural capital of the world. And they have everything. Fuck, if you ate it, I picked it. And, you know, I was born and raised in a migrant camp, so I went through all those times, you know, having had spraying pesticides in the field next to us in the plane, and you know, shit's coming over here and swimming in the canals, and you know what it's like, man.
Yeah, man.
But that's what gave me my motivation, and that's what kept me here.
Yeah, it's hard work, man. A lot of people don't realize exactly how hard. That's the hardest job to this day I've ever done, man.
Yeah, I remember you could smell. You could like picking tomatoes, right? You know, for you city guys, right? You guys don't know, but you pick tomatoes. You know, you pull the leaves or the plants, and all that sulfur gets into your face, and you know you're in the peaches, and the shit scratching, and you know you're in the almonds, and you got bees, and so you're fighting all kinds of elements. You know.
Yeah. Like you
Absolutely.
said,
Shout
man,
out
when
to the
it's spraying
farmers.
right next to you, the taste, you can taste it.
Yeah.
You're going home, you have that taste in your mouth for 3 days afterwards. It's like,
And,
whoa.
you know, we have a saying where mosquitoes don't mess with us no more because we got so many pesticides in us. So they didn't mess with us.
Hey, shout out Scott Burt. He just let everybody know that you will be inducted to the Bare Knuckle Hall of Fame. So congratulations on that. Obviously, once again, you definitely deserve it. I can tell you from experience that gold medal is something else. You know what I'm saying? These boys, they don't know about the Hall of Fame life. So, but I can tell you from experience, it's amazing.
Every show, somebody's got to bring that up.
Hey, man, beat that, brother.
He carries that.
Hey, my man, so we were reading an article about you, and we figured out that you got into MMA because you went to a Muay Thai event whenever you were younger in Thailand. But what got you into the Cutman life? What made you go, I want to just stitch everybody up, man?
Yeah, you know, I joined the military 1972 and 1974. They stationed me in a place called Thailand, and I didn't even know what the fuck it was, man. You know, I had friends that were already there, but I always told myself if I went to the Orient, I want to study the martial arts, right? And but got to Thailand, I saw my first Muay Thai fight, and guy threw a kick and kicked the guy there, knocked him out, and it's like the Bruce Lee movies. People are throwing shit in the ring, and I mean we're in downtown Banchan, right? And I'm 3 days into the country, so I'm as green as could be. But that following week, I started training at the base with the GIs. And at that time, it was Taekwondo, right? But Taekwondo, Thailand, to me as a young kid, it's the same. I don't give a shit. And, you know, but the Koreans had left, and then about 3 months later, and then the Thais took over the program for the GIs, and they kind of transitioned us into the Muay Thai with, you know, Taekwondo kicks and all that. So, but then I got into boxing when I got to the States and opened my school of kickboxing, ASK, the American School of Kickboxing, and I was a trainer and promoter, did it all, but I love being a cut man, and that kind of floated to the top. And 25 years ago, bro, I made the move to Vegas and followed my dreams. You know, I worked for RJ Reynolds Tobacco Company for 23 years, and I took a downsize. I took like a $25,000 a year cut and pay just to move to Vegas, but I took a position here and rolled the dice and paid off.
Right, rolled the dice and got a 7.
Yeah,
That's
High risk, high reward.
yeah,
Gotta risk it.
yeah.
Gotta risk it to win it, man.
Hey man, so quick question:
Sean?
who's the toughest fighter you've ever been a corner for?
Come on, man. That's like saying I like you better than these guys. Come on.
Well, we need to try to get something here, right?
No. Hey, listen. No, I'll tell you what. I've been blessed, man, and you know we're doing the show. And first of all, with Scott, let me mention that to be recognized for the Hall of Fame for the bare knuckle fights is, to me, it's a big, big honor because it's the start of combat sports, you know, and just the mental state of these guys. Let me get into that, and then but the mental state of these guys, and you're talking about tough fights, right? But I always tell people that since I've been working with these bare knuckle fighters, the mental stage is different than boxing or MMA. Boxing or MMA falls here. The mental game of bare knuckle fighters falls up there, man. And just to see what these guys do, to me, is it's quite mind blowing, man. And the nicest guys in the world, right? And but you're talking about, yeah, I've worked with so many great fighters. So many. But there's a fight when Vanderlei Silva fought Chuck Liddell, and when I used to go to Prague, I met Vanderlei there and all the Brazilians, and they gave me the nickname Santana, Carlos Santana, right? So I did a hand wrapping seminar in Japan, and so I got to know him, and we became friends. But about a week before, I saw Vanderlei and psychology. And it's very important in the fight game. And I told Vanderlei, I said, look, man, next week is my birthday, so I want to give you good karma and wish you good luck. While I'm working with Chuck Liddell, and man, I tell you what, these guys are cracking each other. They're just pounding each other, and you could hear the punches. I could feel the punches, and I mean, it's 3 brutal rounds. And at the end of the fight, Chuck has a little cut, and I clean it up, and I go talk to Vanderlei, and Leon Tabbs, the original cut man, is is working on him, and his face is swollen, and and I'm saying, hey, Vandalay, how are you, brother? He goes, oh, Stitch, I'm okay, Stitch. And brother, after all that, I mean, it has to be one of my top 3 fights ever. He looks at me and says, Stitch, happy birthday. and brother, how can you beat that?
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, just, but and you ask about the fighters, and I can't give you this. There's too many, but I can say that these guys are modern day gladiators. Literally, there's nobody like them at all. The mental game. I interviewed Mike Tyson about a week before he got his tattoo, bro. And I asked him, I said, Mike, every fighter has that one little thing that nobody else has. I don't care what sport you're in, whatever you do. What's that one little thing that these fighters have? And very simply, he says, take the pain. You have to take the pain. And as I broke it down, as I'm driving, I'm already out, but I'm breaking it down. I think, what a strong statement, because you go through pain in training. You go through pain in the fights. You go through pain with your family. You go through pain with your finances. It's that, you have to go through that. And, I've always mentioned that you go to any gym where you got a guy that's wanted to be a fighter or is a fighter, and their only goal is to become a world champion. And, but, the reality of the game is that's like winning the lottery, or, going to Vegas and, hitting it's not going to happen to everybody, but you can't take away those dreams. And for me to be part of their history, to me, is a big honor.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
You mentioned being a part of their history. That kind of leads into my next question. Like, what goes through your head when a fighter comes back to your corner and they have a bad cut? Like, you realize the fight could get stopped. It's kind of on you at this point to make sure they get through the next round. Well, it's on them too, but it's on you to get that cut in shape that they can go. What goes through your head?
Composure. Composure, keeping, knowing. Well, good question. So what happens is, I'm always, whenever the fight is going on, all my focus is in their face, right? And but I have everything already in my bucket that I have. I have a spot for the medications, the adrenaline chloride 1000. That's what we put on the cut. That closes up the blood vessels. We got the ice packs, and the KO swell. And so I got everything already in place. So I know once the bell, before the bell rings, 10 seconds before the bell rings, I got all the stuff that I need to get in there, and I'm standing right. A lot of times, like Greg Jackson, I'd be right behind him. A lot of guys, their ass is literally right in my face, and right as they're going up, I'll pinch it. As we're going up, that's behind the scenes shit, right? So, so you kind of relax, but you go and you take care of business. But the first thing that I do is I direct pressure, and then start cleaning that blood off of them. But the psychological aspect of giving them encouragement, and letting them know, man, you go out there and do what you got to do, and I'm going to take care of you. And all that is a relation as we go, and you learn more. I get examples from moments that I've had in my life. Mike Tyson, take the pain. But working with all these fighters, and it's a very special bond, and it's just, I mean, I'm just blessed to have their heart and soul given to me by these guys, right? And knowing that I'm gonna take care of them, So yeah, man, I'm blessed.
So you're in an organization now that, I mean, these guys, like you keep on saying, these guys are tough in BKFC. They're mentally tough and they're physically tough, and a lot of them just keep coming forward. What is the difference between, when you used to do boxing or MMA and these guys hitting themselves with bare knuckles? What's the difference, and how do you prepare better for that?
A good question. When Dave Feldman contacted me for the bare knuckles, the first ones in Wyoming, right? I thought, wow, what's a different sport for me, of course, but the reason I went, the number one reason I went is to see the guidelines, the rules that they have for this sport, right? And of course, Wyoming is not a very strong commission, so I understand that, there's some flexibility. But what really impressed me with Dave Feldman and the whole team, first of all, is we all met with the Wyoming Athletic Commission, with the ringside doctors. the bare knuckle staff, myself, Dan Morgliotti, Bill Clancy, we all had a meeting and went over the rules. And a lot of the rules made so much sense. And there were some rules that me, Dan Morgliotti, Bill Clancy, we saw where we could make an adjustment. And we did. And going forward, it's worked out very well. But let me say about one rule that I like that I think should be implemented in MMA is that, because first of all, blood, because you have blood, you can't freak out on it, because whenever they stop a fight, it's because a fighter is at a disadvantage. That's blood in the eye. That's a cut so bad that he's not going to win the fight. Just negatives against him, right? And but you got to take that away from him, and just kind of address those wounds as you go, and give them that confidence. But I was telling you, one of the things I try to encourage these fighters is how I'm going to take care of them is when I first meet them. Tyson Fury, good example. When I first meet him, I'll sit there and I'll talk, and we'll go over the cuts and what I'm going to do and just the basics and get familiar with him. But to really lock it in, when Lyoto Machida fought Rashad Evans, I always work with Lyoto, wrapped his hands, and I worked with him when he fought Rich Franklin in Japan and before he came to the UFC. So I've known him before. And but he won the fight, won the world title. And if you remember, his father was a very nice, shogunnish, very, very proud warrior. And I go in the dressing room and I congratulate Lyoto in front of his father, and his father's sitting down like you, but he's like, they're just very proud. And he says, Stitch, he said, muito obrigado. This is Stitch. In the ring, you are my father, right? And his father just sat there and nodded. And so that's the kind of stuff that I get with these guys, man. It's crazy, huh? I can talk about this stuff forever, man. Nobody has what I have.
That's amazing.
That was one of my next questions was like, you got shout outs from a countless amount of great fighters. One of the greatest, Tyson Fury, he says that like he pretty much couldn't go on without you at one point. So if I'm not mistaken, because of you, the Gypsy King has his undefeated record. So that's
I'm a small piece of the puzzle like you, man. I took care of you, didn't I? So life ain't too bad. Yeah, it was an honor because what happened through that series of fights. Well, first of all, Jorge Capetillo, the cutman that worked on Tyson, the fight when he got cut, and Jorge. Jorge is a good friend of mine, right? And there were some things he didn't expect. He hasn't worked those kind of cuts before. I do them all the time through bare knuckle fighting and MMA, and so I'm accustomed to that. And he's in there, and he's getting all these accolades, and he did. He kept them in the game. He ended up winning the fight, but he made some little mistakes that could be improved. So about 3 days later, I met with him and said, "Man, let's go have lunch. Listen, I want to kind of educate you because number one, you brought up the respect of the cut man." And then being Latino, number two, that's important. You brought us up to a level where people respect what we do. I said, but there's some things. I said, because on the next fight, before they call me, I said, because on the next fight, all eyes are going to be on you. And here's some of the things that you could do to make your techniques better. And we went through that stuff. But as that fight progressed, now this was months after or days after Tyson Fury got cut. So months later, fast forward, I get rumor or calls. Kevin Barry called me, the trainer called me and says, "Hey man, just want to let you know that Bob Arum asked about you being a cut man." And he says, nobody better, and Amir Abdallah. So they were inquiring about me, that Tyson Fury and Bob Arum wanted me as a cut man. And yeah, they gave me a call 2 weeks before the fight, and I walk in, and Tyson Fury is Chicano, man. He's the Irish version of us, and so we got along just like this, and yeah, for him to give me shout outs was pretty awesome.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
One of our fans wants to know the worst cut that you have ever had to work.
A lot of them for sure. But Marvin Eastman, as a matter of fact, I'm working with a CBD company that they created a cream for cuts. When you get sewn up, you apply it, and it, you know, and it helps you heal. It has CBD, stem cell, and all that. And but Marvin Eastman, if you remember, he took a knee from Vitor Belfort, and he had a big old ass cut like this, and they stopped it right away, right? But I'm working on him, and I know that everybody's watching the big screens, and I know, and Marvin's looking at it, and all the people are going, ooh, and all, and Marvin has a big old cut, and I tell Marvin, I'm checking his mentality, his responses, right? I said, Marvin, this is the biggest fucking cut I've ever seen in my life. He starts laughing, right? But when he laughed, then I knew he was okay. And but same thing with Brock Lesnar when he fought Cain Velasquez. Ended up with a big old gash. The swab literally went all the way into the you see the cheekbone, and you know, between him and I is those moments is Stitch, take care of me. I said, yeah, of course, man. You know,
Man, that fight is bringing a lot of memories for the fans here. They're talking about it. And
you're talking about with Brock or which one?
The one with the
Marvin Eastman. Yeah, that was a good one. Joshua, what's up, Joshua?
One of our fans brought up about Britton Hart's eyelid. When you were holding her face in your hands, what were you saying to her at that point?
Yeah, you know what? So I was going to mention that rule that I think should be implemented in MMA when we're talking about the dangers of blood and all that. But the bare knuckle fighting, Dave Feldman created a rule where the referee could stop the fight because cuts are going to happen. Blood is going to be on your face, but it doesn't mean that you're in a dangerous situation. So the referee, Dan Morgliati, the referee has an opportunity to call timeout, and he brings the fighter to me or the other cut man, and the doctor's next to me, and I have 30 seconds to clean him up and look at him as the doctor evaluates to see if they could continue, right? And I think it's a great rule, you know, and I think it should be implemented in boxing, you know, because the number one thing is the safety of the fighter. So you're talking about Britain. So what happened with her, very, very unusual cut, is right there. It's like a razor blade, just right on the edge, just cut it, you know. And Dan Morgliati comes and brings her to me and says, and she wants to fight, and I understand. She wants to fight, I understand. But that type of cut is not worth the risk of her, because now you're looking at some kind of optical or nerve damage outside of blood, because the blood's going to come down. That's not the problem. It's the optical nerve damage, something that goes beyond putting stitches. And then to stitch that right down there, you're going to have to have a specialist. So anyway, Dan Morgliati brings her to me, and he says, Stitch, you got 30 seconds. And I said, man, I don't need it. You know, I'm not going to let her go out there. And she says, nah, I'm not Stitch, nah. I said, nah, listen, when you go in the dressing room and you look at that cut, you're going to thank me. And she did, you know, but those are the decisions you got to make. And there's been times with even the doctors, Stitch, what do you think? What do you think? You know, I said, yeah, let him go out there and fight, you know, but that was a good point right there with Britain. That's where that rule came in good. And you have to understand, as being a cut man, more than just working cuts and working swelling, but know the nature of the injuries and what they could create, you know. And so that came in handy. And now she's fighting again. So she's a dog.
I mean, you possibly saved her sight there for sure.
Yeah, that's number one. You know, that's number one is a sight, because you don't make second mistakes with the eyes, you know. So good point. Good question.
Yeah, so obviously she was upset, but you don't have to name any specific names unless you really want to, but anybody that's been really upset with you, you've had to maybe come in and put on the swelling, you know, get the swelling down and stuff, and the coach is trying to talk to him, nothing like that?
No, but I'll tell you a story. Hold on. So I'm working with Andre Durrell, right? And he's in a rematch where, if you remember the fight, this was at the MGM in Baltimore, Washington, D.C., wherever the MGM's over there. But if you remember the fight, he got hit after the bell, and his uncle, which was training Andre Durrell, goes to the other corner, and he cracks that guy. And there's a big fight, right? So the rematch, they're doing the rematch, but he's taking the type of punches that give you long-term injury, not short-term injuries, which is a knockout, but long-term injuries where 10 years down the road, you might be a little slower in your pronunciations. So he's taking those type of beatings, and the coach was Virgil Hunter. worked with Andre Ward. I worked with him many times and all that. And Andre or Virgil was sick. I just didn't know how sick he was. Then I didn't know till after, but he spent, I think, month and a half in the hospital after that. So he was sick, but I'm telling him, I said, look, man, he's taking a lot of bad shots. Yeah, one more round. And we'll go one more round. And I'm looking at him, and so he's taking these shots, and he comes back to me during the corner, and I'm working on him, and I'm putting ice on him and all that, and the doctors are sitting next to me, and I hear him talking, and I say, Andre, I said, the doctors are talking about stopping the fight. Do you want to continue? And he goes like this. And that's all I needed. And I said, not stop the fight. And nobody knew what was going on except him and I. And finally, they realized that he had taken those kind of shots. But in the dressing room, a couple of his cronies that came in from and followed him, they're in the dressing room. And when I told them that I stopped the fight, they fucking went ballistic on me. And this and that. And man, I had my scissors here. And I mean, they just didn't know the game until Andre's brother, Anthony, comes into the dressing room and he tells him, you MFers, this and that, and this and that. And so he knew. And then the next day, Andre and his wife called me like 8 a.m. and she personally thanked me, and he thanked me because he says, I just didn't have nothing. But, I saw it, and I had to react according to his mindset, and his mindset. No, because I wasn't going to let him go out with a negative mentality because he was already getting hurt, and he would have got hurt even worse.
Absolutely.
That's why you're the GOAT. That stuff right there, that's why you're the GOAT.
Hey, man, you got to, you have to understand the pain. You know what it's like. You have to understand the pain and how guys react. And, I mean, there's been 3-4 guys, Fedor, Michael Bisping, guys that have been knocked out to where I had to tell them, look at them face to face and say, you got knocked out. You got knocked out.
You had to tell them.
But I understand
Fedor that?
They're bad. They have to get rebooted. And I understand. I don't know if you guys might be too young with the UFC. You guys remember Pete Sal? Worked with Matt Serra, trained with Matt, fought with Matt Serra, and Drago. He used to call him Drago.
Yes.
He fought Matt Brown, and Matt Brown beat the shit out of him. And they stopped the fight, and he's arguing with the referee, and he's arguing with the doctor. And I come up to him. I said, Drago, look at me. I said, look at me. I said, look, you got knocked out. He tells the doctor and the referee, he says, Stitch, I believe. So those are the kind of moments I have, man.
That just attests to the trust these guys place in you. And that's
awesome. Yeah, of course, and I understand that. Josh Bird, man, I want to work with him one of these days.
He's one of our favorites here. We love
I'll tell you, man, the Johnny Bedford, right? I love Johnny, man. And I remember the days of UFC, but I said, Johnny, and this was years ago now, and I asked him one time, I hope you don't get offended by this comment I said, but it was all done as a compliment. But I told him when in the UFC, I said, man, you're the toughest white boy I've ever met, man. So that was a compliment, right? But I love that guy. Just all these guys, man. Travis Thompson, they're all good people, man. And Sheena Starr, got to give her props because people don't really understand that she's the only active. Actually, she's probably the only historic. There's history, no trivia, that there's a cut woman and a fighter #1 at the same time.
We actually talked to her. We talked to her about that, actually.
Yeah. I mean, there's this. I know. I don't know if there's another cut woman that has been a fighter. She's a fighter and an active one at that. And as a cut woman, she does a good job. So. But the people involved, man, Dave Feldman and these guys, it's just this game is going to skyrocket all the way.
We hope so, man.
I mean.
To take it away a little bit away from the fighters, I want to pose this question to you because Ray Matos is always an active fan. He wants to know, how do you get into your line of work?
Yeah, get in line, brother. And, now, you know what? I get questions like that all the time. And but I tell them, I said, in all honesty, you got to spend hours and days and weeks and months and years in the gym, working to learn to be a fighter, taking that pain, the agony, going through those moments to #1 to get to understand the mind game. But during that time, you're also learning to wrap hands. But you're giving your time. You're putting time into the gym, wrapping a shitload of hands, wrapping your hands, wrapping your kids' hands, and just learning the game and studying it as you go. And then hopefully, one of you guys could see a value in them, and you bring them in to work your corner, and then from there you progress. But it's a timely process, man. I get doctors and nurses and paramedics and just everybody that wants to do what we do. And just because you're a doctor, don't make you a good cut man.
Absolutely.
But there was a girl today that sent me a message that I had told her the same thing a while back, and she said, I followed your advice, and now I'm ready to go to Cutman for Hire Supplies and get my kit to take the next step. And I gave her applause because everybody wants to do it, but nobody wants to do it. Everybody wants to be there, but nobody wants to do it.
Well, that's with a lot, man. People want to do something, but they don't want to put in those hours and that work. So
and then I always tell them, if you do it for the money, you do it for the wrong reasons. I've been blessed to be in the position that I'm at, but you can name a handful of guys that can do what I do.
Yeah.
So.
Speaking of doing what you do, man, obviously you're the GOAT at the Cutman, but you're also a movie star. You know what I'm saying? So I know you hate these type of questions, but do you have a favorite memory of a movie that you were doing, or maybe even a favorite movie that you shot?
Man, I give you about 50 of them if you want. I've been blessed, man. So I've been like in 6 movies. Good ones. Played to the Bone, Woody Harrelson, Antonio Banderas. That was my first one. I did Ocean's 11 with Klitschko when he fought Lennox Lewis when they robbed the casino. They were the fight at sea. There I did Balboa when Rocky fought his last fight.
Yeah.
I did Kevin James, Here Comes the Boom. Kevin James, Henry Winkler, and Salma Hayek. Creed 1, Creed 2. So, but yeah, with Playing to the Bone, I wanted to be the cut man with Antonio Banderas because I was Latino, right? So what happened? They just called me to go do an audition, and I went I didn't know nothing about Hollywood, and the audition was here in Vegas, and I got the job. And Chuck Bodak, if you remember Chuck Bodak, the legendary cutman that used to put the tape here, looked like Colonel Sanders, legendary cutman, and him and I. But I wanted to be with Antonio Banderas because he was Latino, but he got in front of me. So I was a cutman for Woody Harrelson, and we had a great time. But during some of the shots, Woody got irritated and he timed or cut. So he's walking out of the arena. We're at the Mandalay Bay. And I yell at him. I say, hey, Woody, if you need help, I'll train or I'll show you. I'll work with you. I used to be a trainer. I was a trainer. And he's walking down thinking, man, stupid, man. It's a Hollywood guy, But then he stops and says, yeah, come on, Stitch. So him and I go outside and I tell him, look, man, here's what you're doing. You got to get rotation. This is Hollywood. Get that rotation at the end and this and that. And went back in and he did his shit. And, so. But yeah, I mean, Stallone with Creed, when you get lines, you get residuals. Residuals pay a shitload of money sometimes, man. And so in the movie, I didn't have, I had a line, but my name was Marcel for the first Creed movie. And I said, nah, I don't know anybody named Marcel, man. I'm going to figure out how to change it, right? But when it was time for Rocky to introduce the team to Adonis, he says, oh, this is Stitch. He's the best cut man in Philadelphia. Bro, deep inside, man, my heart's saying, yeah. And then that one, because the script says, this is Marcel's the best cut man in Philadelphia. But he threw my name in. And but then he threw in the second cut that we did. That was his own verse. He did a lot of ad-libbing. But the second one I liked, and they never used it. He says, oh, there's Stitch. He's so good as a cut man, he should have been a surgeon. That would have been badass to use, right? But they stayed with the script. And so the next day, I said, hey, man, I want to thank you, for using my name. And he says, no, it has to be authentic. So, so now I'll give you another, go fast forward to Creed 2 with Michael B. Jordan. I spent, with both shows, I spent 6 weeks with him every day in his trailer, just him and I wrapping his hands and talking shit. And I'm using the Stitch premium tape and, just hanging out. And I tell him, we got good friendship. I said, Michael, I said, look, man, if you ever change on me, I'm going to kick your ass. we're that kind of relationship, right? But our first day of filming, it's a scene when he's fighting Gabe Lozano, right? When they're in the little arena, the first fight that he's having with Rocky. And but as soon as my first moment of shooting, as soon as I said the bell rings, he gets cut. He comes to the corner and he comes down, but he puts his elbow like this and it hits me right here. My glasses fall off and man, I'm putting with it like this. I'm putting them on and I'm working on them. The scene, if you look at the scene, and then he goes out. But the next day I'm getting up and I look and I got a black eye.
Oh man.
And see, people don't know that. I got a picture. I'll see if I can find it for you guys. But I go up to him wearing the trailers. I said, Michael, come here, man. I said, I got a bone to pick with you, brother. I said, look, But in Creed 2, I was telling him how proud I was of him and Ryan Coogler and Tessa Thompson, Steve Cappell, the directors, and how they young brothers and sisters that are moving on up. And he looks at me, man, and he said, Stitch, we went from being actors to writers, producers, and directors. And he looks at me and we're this far apart and he says, I'm directing Creed 3 and you're with me as long as you want. I said, man, my man. But in the first Creed, about the 5th week, I'm wrapping his hands and I finished. I said, look, Michael, hold on, man. I said, look, man, brother, I got to knight you as a fighter because everything that you've done, you've represented our sport to the highest level. And your skill level is the same intensity as a regular fighter. So I did. We went out and did the scene.
That's awesome.
That's crazy, man.
I could listen to your stories for years.
Me too, man. Like I say, I got stories, man. It just, and I'm always a little Chicano that grew up as a farm worker, right? So I'm always like, damn, man, here I am in the big leagues, with big people. And, it's crazy. I know when Andre Ward fought Kovalev, the second fight, I did one of the earlier fights, so there weren't a lot of people there, and I'm working the corner, and all of a sudden I hear Stitch, and I turn around, it's Dave Chappelle. I didn't even know who he was. He's calling my name out, Stitch. That's how I look at it. Oh shit! So after Andre's fight, he goes in the dressing room, and I said, man, I'll tell you, to me it was an honor,
Absolutely.
But let me tell you about another one now. Is when the UFC let me go, right? I was at the premiere for the first Creed, and we watched the movie, and everybody applauded, and we have the after movie party, and Wesley Stipe comes up to me and puts his hand out, and he says, hey, man, the UFC did you wrong. That was it. I said, man, Wesley, what's up, bro? So, yeah, but it's you're right, man. It's stories.
You know what I'm saying? I actually heard you say once that you haven't talked to Dana. I'm not sure at the time of the article, but at the time of the article, you said you haven't talked or seen Dana, but if you did see him, you would shake his hand and thank him for letting you go because you've done so much more since then.
Yeah, I'm myself. I'm always that little Chicano that was a farm worker where, my parents were during the Cesar Chavez movement. And, I was 12, 13 years old when Cesar Chavez made the famous walk from Delano, California to Sacramento. And, they went through our little town and they, the families housed them and, they fed them and all that. And so my parents were part of that. And when John Nash from Bloody Elbow asked me if I'd be interested in doing an interview on how the Reebok deal affected the Cutman, I thought about those moments. And I said, if I didn't do what my parents did, they wouldn't be proud of me. And I was, all the article people said you're very politically correct. I understood, but I understand business, but could have been a different way.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, best thing ever happened to me because I was, with these top ranked fights that I'm doing, I've done 24 shows with boxing. One of them had a Brazilian fighter, and Luis, I can't remember Luis's, but he's one of the top trainers, working with Vanderlei and all these guys. He was one of the coaches for boxing. And we're having lunch, and he says, Steve, he says, all of us have so much respect for you because you said what we couldn't say, and man, coming from him years later, it's been 5-6 years since I let me go. For him to have presented me with that was pretty awesome. So,
Yeah,
Crazy.
no, the way you stood up and pretty much told UFC what a shitty move you just made.
Yeah.
I think all UFC fans and fighters would like to thank you.
Hey man, you know what? And that's why I'm a strong supporter of Leslie Smith trying to get some kind of association, some kind of union to where everybody has. If you need to call somewhere, call that place. If some of the money from these events should be going to some association. So let's say you get hurt in camp, you get hurt during a fight and you can't work. At least you got some kind of money coming towards you, and there has to be some system for all combat sports to work as one. But you guys ain't making the move, bro.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we can start that train going.
Well, it's Leslie Smith she's been at it the longest, and there's been others that have tried and just kind of petered out. But Leslie Smith has been, she's been working on it pretty solid. So yeah, all these fighters, man, you guys, stick up and support each other.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
Well, I got to tell you.
Nope, he's not going to tell you much.
And you got stoned on the air, man.
There you go, bro. There you go.
You're back, Sean. What's up?
Yeah, I was going to say, we appreciate you coming on, man. I mean, we don't want to take up too much more of your time. I'm sure you're a busy man,
Yeah, busy.
Yeah, this was definitely the best interview I've been a part of. Like Clay said, I could just sit here and just listen to you talk like your history and all that, especially being a Latino myself and just, seeing it, your pride in it and making it out of there, especially with your parents, what they had to go through and stuff like that. My grandfather was an immigrant and he did the farm things too. And, brought my mom across and then she had to work hard to get me to where I am. So
sure.
I feel you.
Yeah, no, that's my drive, and the thing about it, I never forget, because if you look at my outfits, the cornerman jackets that I wear with my sponsors and all that, on the back of my collar, which is prime location for cameras, I have Planada. Planada is the name of my town, and when I was growing up, now it's like 4,000 or 5,000, but when I was growing up, it was like 1,500, 2,000 people, and so it's not for the world to know what it is; it's for the people that live there. They know that I'm there supporting them. And real quick before we go, I'll give you a friend of mine, because I drove from Las Vegas to my hometown like nine hours, and but I had a UFC in LA, which is 5 hours. So I'd go to Planada, and then from Planada I was gonna go to LA, and then from LA it's like another 4 or 5 hours to get home. But I was in the back with my buddies, drinking beers as Chicanos do, right? And but one of my buddies, Paulo, he says, Jacob, you really inspire us. And didn't think much about it, but as I'm driving to LA, 3, 4, 5 hours, I'm thinking of my friends, and that comment he says is, you really inspire us. I thought in the reverse, that me inspiring them inspires me. So things that I do that where if you could come on board, bro, jump on the, because when I moved to it, you guys got time, bro?
Yeah, we got all the time in the world.
Yeah,
if you got time, we got time. I was being courteous to you, bro.
I got time, man. My wife's doing one of her Zooms, and I'm here. But shit, I forgot. But yeah, it's I've been blessed to be doing all the things that I'm doing. And but he told me, he says, man, you really inspire us, and that's it. So I've been blessed, man.
No, absolutely.
Oh, talking about movies. Hold on, I haven't finished. So talking about movies. So I got a call from this group that they're doing a movie called Versus, and they want me to be part of it, but they also want me to be a consultant. And I told them how I'd be glad to on both of them. I'm not an actor, but I don't mind doing movies, right? And but definitely as a consultant, because like in the movie Creeds, I helped them out. I told Ryan Coogler, the first Creed, I say, look, Ryan, if I see stuff that's not authentic, I'm going to bring it up to your attention, because I want this to be as authentic could be. And he says, Stitch, please, please do. So I helped them out. So yeah, so that's in the works, and hopefully up around May or June, they're going to be filming in Atlanta. But they got some other projects they're working on. So yeah, Shit just happens.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So we can expect more movies in the future. It seems like, huh?
Yeah,
I
well,
can dig
it's
that.
funny. Yeah, on this one for sure. On this one, I'm a consultant, right? So we're going to be in Atlanta. I know it's going to be a time. So my wife's going to go with me, and I told her I'm going to make you a star. I know I'm a consultant, so your face I could put right here in this location. And I might even give you a line or two. So.
Ooh.
Oh, nice.
So we're gonna make a project out of it. But I can do that now at this stage where I'm at. It's nice to work these fights, but it's nice to get these other options, and I'm capable of doing them all. So we'll see what happens. I'll let you know, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely,
please, dude.
man.
One of the questions one of our guys asked that I thought was pretty interesting, maybe you wouldn't mind answering. What was it? Is there a fighter you haven't got to work with yet that you would like to?
Nah, in the old days, guys I love Salvador Sanchez, Roberto Duran, these guys. But no, listen, I've been blessed, man. It's just things happen. Working with Andre Ward. I remember Andre because we were from Oakland, right? He, as the amateurs, the Stitch. When I turned pro, I want you to be my cut man. Wow, how many times do you hear that? And but he did, and I was with him all except 2 fights because I was already booked with UFC fights in Brazil or something that required a visa, so I couldn't change, right? And so I've been blessed to work with the Klitschko's. They were the best of the best of the best, and just first class all the way. And with so many Fedor Emelianenko, bro.
That's one of my idols right there, man.
Yeah.
I got to show you. Hold on.
Uh-oh, Sean's gonna freak out.
Yep, Sean's gonna fanboy out here in a second.
Get ready.
Yeah. You want to be a fanboy, right? All right. So I'll give you the story with Fedor. So I used to go to Japan with Pride, or for Pride with Josh Barnett. When the UFC let Josh go, he called me because I would always take care of Josh. Good, super good guy. And he called me and said, Stitch, what would it cost for you to go to Japan with me to work? And I gave him my price, and we were there, but guys would want me to wrap their hands. All these top fighters, want me to wrap their hands. And Josh says, nah, you know what? I pay to bring him in. If you want Stitch to wrap your hands, it's going to cost you $500. Bro, I remember the first time, the Japanese pay you in envelopes, right? So the guy gives me an envelope, and I go to the bathroom like I'm in the bathroom, and I open it. Well, there's like $700 in there, man. I said, oh, shit. Man, I'd make $2,000-$3,000 extra just a night, just for doing that. And they were all super. But Fedor had just come back, I think, from breaking his thumb. He had broke his thumb right here. And this was his first fight back. I think he was going to fight Mark Hunt. And so the promoter comes and says, Stitch, can you wrap Fedor's hands? And shit, man, I said, boom, yeah. I didn't even talk money, nothing. So I go to the dressing room, and I'm like you, I'm a big fan of Fedor and Knuckle Up, and that was that era, right? And I start wrapping Fedor's hands, and when I wrap guys' hands, I like to shoot the shit with them and relax them and find out and just story tell and just kind of relax them. But Fedor ain't saying nothing to me, bro. Okay, yes, no, simple as that. And finally, I finished wrapping his hands, and I said, "How do they feel?" He goes, "Super." Oh, that's all he said. Man, I walk out, my feet weren't even touching the ground, and I'm so stoked, and cameras are filming it and all that shit. And after the fight, we're walking towards the bus down the hallway, and Fedor's in his room, and he sees Josh and I, and he brings us in, man. It's a placebo. Take shots. So after that, every time Fedor fought, I'm the one that wrapped his hands, and his brother Alexander. So on my last show with Bellator, Fedor's fighting in San Jose. He's fighting, and I walk into the lobby from the airport, and he's there with all his team. And he sees me, and Fedor comes to me, bro. And he comes up to me and gives me a hug, and he says, I have something for you, right? I said, thanks. So he tells the guy comes back. Look at this shit.
Oh man, that is awesome.
Look at that.
Oh,
Wow.
that is freaking awesome, man.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So how do you think I felt, man? You know, and one of my best gifts ever. Awesome.
That is amazing, man.
Oh,
But
that's
you know,
Ryan and Juan's goat. That's our number
Yeah,
one.
I love Fedor, man. He's my goat. He's my heavyweight goat.
Super nice guy. I mean, even Alexander, as gangster as he was, they were all good to me, man.
Alexander's a scary dude, and then you
he's scary.
He's so gentle. He's like this gentle, scary giant, you know.
Yeah. But it was cool, man. Fedor, when Vladimir fought Povetkin in Moscow, Fedor was in the audience, and Putin was supposed to have been there. Big event, right? Putin never showed up, but Fedor was there, and I go over there and say hi to him, you know. And I have a red outfit on. He's dressed in black. Normally, he used to wear red. I used to wear black, but we were reversed. And man, we hugged each other, and cameras are going crazy, and you know, Fedor Emelianenko. So
that's insane.
That is crazy, amazing, man.
That's crazy. Yeah.
I mean,
I got Lyoto, Tito, Brock Lesnar. Let me tell you about Brock. Oh, hold on, man.
Dude, I'd be happy if Fedor just waved at me from across a parking lot.
Could you imagine? I mean, let's be honest. This guy is talking.
Right.
He's worked for everybody.
All right, man. So Brock, right? So I'm wrapping Brock's hands, and I think he's fighting Shane Carwin. Both guys supposed to have the biggest hands in boxing, and he does, no doubt about it, right? And but I'm wrapping his hands, and then I'm trying to put the gloves on him, and they rip just like the Hulk, bro. And Burt Watson, the coordinator, says, "Stitch, we only got one more pair. What are we gonna do?" And I remember the Klitschko's, when they would wrap their hands, they would put Vaseline on their wraps and slide the glove in. So that's what I did to Fedor with the second pair of gloves. So anyway, let me show you how big his hands were, bro. Look at this shit.
What the fuck?
Look at this. It's crazy.
Wow. That is ridiculous.
Crazy, huh?
Wow.
That thing is the size of your head.
Yeah. So the glove, let me see here.
That's why Randy described them as metal lunchbox.
Let me see here. Oh, I'm the wrong way. Yeah, I kind of ripped right there. So,
wow.
No.
Wow.
Yeah, but that's it. So I had him sign it for me. Hey.
Or described them as metal lunchboxes hitting you in the head.
Yeah. So anyway, so getting back to that is I'm putting the gloves on him, and I tell him, I say, "Hey man, I like your shirts. You know, everybody had their sponsor shirts, right?" He goes, I pack one for you. And I said, wow. He said, no. My wife asked me, should I pack one for Stitch? And he says, yeah. So I finished wrapping him and gloving him up. He goes in his bag, comes back and gives me a t-shirt, bro. You know, and I mean, it's crazy. You know, and then when we did the reality show, everybody would always give me one of those tank tops from the team, you know, whatever UFC or Tough 3 or 7 and all that. So I told him, I said, hey, you know, can you give me for my son a tank top? Well, I walk into the dressing room to wrap the fighters' hands for that day, and I start wrapping hands, and Brock don't say shit. He just picks up that bag, the UFC bag, comes and drops it right in front of me. And then he goes to the other side of the room and he sits down. And I look at it, I open it up. I said, Brock, you love me, don't you? You know, just kind of getting on him. He didn't say nothing, but yeah, I mean, just super moments, man.
He seems like a genuinely nice guy, Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, well, you know, it's and added to that, I think, I don't know who he fought, but his team were always very careful to be around him, you know. And I walk into the dressing room after the fights, and I think he fought Frank Mir, and that's when he beat him. And all the team is in one side of the dressing room, and Brock and his wife are literally on the other side, and they're just kind of waiting for him to do what he wants to do. And so they're just kind of so I walk in, and they look like kids that were the principal got them, in the office. They're just sitting there like this, man. So I walk in and, hey, Stitch, how did I do? You know, and kind of broke that barrier with those guys. I can do what you can do. You can't do. So I've had a lot of good moments, man.
That is so awesome, man.
That's sick.
Yeah, that is why you're the GOAT, man. John Jones is right. I mean, just the bond and rapport that you develop with those fighters, it makes you the great among greats, man.
It's blows my mind every day, bro. You know, I'm no different than all you guys. You know, I've just been blessed to do what I do, and you know, I have a passion for what I do, and we all do. We all. That's why you're good at what you do, and you know, I think we could all probably have the same mentality. As I always tell people. Is that John Jones that said that, man? That was nice. Yeah, but it's the relationship, you know, that you have with each other. And, you know, I always tell these people, we've all been there. You know, if you're scared to cross that line, you'll never get to where you want to go. It's when you're scared, it's okay to cross that line, you know, and just because I always put it in my mind, well, Lisa can't kick my ass. You know, that was always my mentality going forward. And then also, I know I could go back and pick cotton. That skill level I know I have. So those were always my motivations.
The humble goat. That's your new nickname.
Yeah. I remember my dad used to kill goats. We were talking about it last night. Because we semi-farm. We had chickens and goats and cows and pigs and all that shit. And you know, we had all the fruits and vegetables ever. So even though we were very low income, we had the best of the best. You know, best food and everything, you know. And so we were always healthy, but yeah, I remember they would kill them. The cows, they would shoot them right between the eyes. You know, goats, slice them, and chickens and all that. And so that was part of my life, man.
Yeah, I'll tell you a story now about the goats. So I was in a farmer, so I didn't get raised that way around animals, right? But I remember that my family, like you said, Hispanics, no matter how poor we are, we got food. Like that's always part of the family. And my uncles, they brought a goat. And they tied it to the tree, and we all the kids were playing with it for like 2-3 days. I mean, to us, it almost became a pet in 2-3 days. And then so we're sitting there around the goat and we're playing. My uncle comes out. We don't know what he's doing. He comes out. He goes to the goat, and then just slits his throat. And we're like, "What the fuck just happened?" Like, we're all kids. We're like,
yeah.
But then we ate some cabrito, so we were good.
Yeah, those were the days.
Before we had a rule: you don't name the animals. Don't name them.
Ragnarok TV says they would love to have you in Ragnarok BKF in Norway, but
never done Norway, man. Yeah, you know that's the thing about me. I love talking. I love stories. It's important to share stories, right? And not that I'm bragging or anything like that. It's just that, I have stories. I've been blessed. But, what makes everything great for me is everything that has happened to me to this point. I've never asked for one job. I swear to God, man. I'm just a proud Chicano where I've had moments where I could have worked with Floyd Mayweather, before Rafael came on board, could have had moments like that, but I never wanted to work. Everybody's called me. And so, El Puerco, dice Raúl Matos. El Puerco, yeah. Yeah, chicharrones, man.
Oh, you're making me hungry now.
I know.
Hey, I tell you what, I'm with my old lady. She grew up with a Hispanic family. She's got like a godfather and a godmother. So I'm finally learning what food is after years of not tasting food. Menudo, the whole 9 yards. I'm probably murdering all these words, but I tell you what, that's some of the greatest food you could have, man.
Yeah,
that's home good food right there.
And and it's nice for me to. I gotta respond to Phil Johnson, man, bro. Now we have a great story to tell. The time we had Chicken Stitch Durant on the show, my man Phil. So yeah, the thing of traveling, I love trying different foods. Brazil. I love going to the churrascarias, and I'm the kind of guy that will try the delicacies, whatever they are. And Kazakhstan, I went there with Baby Shumanov, and their delicacy is horse meat. So yeah, of course I'll try it. I went to Mexico City, and then we went when we did the UFC up there, and I went to see the pyramids, and I went with Weezy used to be one of the cutmen from San Jose that literally was native, and his shaman, he's from Mexico City. We went back. They took me to the pyramids, and that shaman, every time we walked one level of the pyramid, he explained everything, why you got the 3 pyramids, and phenomenal. But after that, we went to a restaurant, and I had ant eggs, which was a delicacy for the Aztecs, right? So I thought, man, you know what? I want to be there, if at least for this moment, at least let me try it, you know. And so that's a lot of, you know, as I go to places, I love to try to do things.
Yeah, absolutely.
And how was ant eggs? What was that like?
It was like cottage cheese. It wasn't, you know.
So disgusting.
No, not bad at all. Nah, man, come on. But you know what? When I went to the Ukraine in 1991, Vitaly says 92, but it's when the Soviet Union first broke. And the Ukraine had the first professional fights, and we brought over a team of boxers and kickboxers. And I had Mark Longwood that was a kickboxer. So we fought in Kiev, and there it was, the way I understood it was that when the Soviet Union broke, what used to be the KGB, this group here ended up with all this money, so they did the first professional fights. So they took a team of us. But I used to work for R.J. Reynolds Tobacco Company for like 23 years, and we used to have little camel silver and brass lighters, right? So I would give them to the cooks, the chefs in the restaurants, and they would give me caviar. Man, I came back with about 10, 11 things of caviar. So he's talking about chicharrones. So I go to, you know, I'm low key. I go back to the backyard for chulos, and we have caviar with chicharrones, you know, we just Mexican style. And so, yeah, you know, just to experience a lot of good times.
That's an amazing life, man. What am I doing with myself?
Yeah, I was going to say, it sounds like you got memories for 3 lifetimes.
You know what? I got to mention, too, because I did write a book. Actually, I've written a couple books, but it was called, or they are called, From the Fields to the Garden, because growing up as a farmer goes the fields, and my goal was to make it to Madison Square Garden. So I've been there for both boxing and MMA. And so I wrote a book during the time with Matt Serra and Chuck Liddell, Randy, and Tito. Everybody, remember, we're writing books. They were having books written. Well, the guy that did Matt Serra's book took my wife and I out to dinner and discussed about writing a book on my lifestyle. And I'm the kind of guy where, man, if you want to do it, let's do it, you know. But he never did, right? So it is what it is. Well, Zach Robinson, that is American from Oklahoma, lives in Germany, and he's a teacher for the GI, for the kids, for the GIs. He contacted me and said he was a big fan, and he's written books called Sports by the Numbers, and he was interested, asked if I'd be interested in him writing a book on me. We're working together. That's shit. You want to do it? Let's do it. So it just happened by the grace of God. I was going to be in Germany 2 weeks later with Klitschko. So we hung out for 3 days, and you know, he was a baseball player like me and down-to-earth guy like me, and we shook hands and wrote a book and became a top seller in Amazon. And then when the UFC let me go and other stories happened, people wanted a sequel, so we did From the Fields to the Garden 1 and 2. So, and then a spin-off to that, now they're filming a documentary based on the book From the Fields to the Garden. And when I signed with these guys, Danny Acosta's a MMA guy, and then Gerald Roxburgh's a big producer out of the LA area. I like the guys. I met with them. It's all karma. You want to do it? Let's do it. So when I signed with them, a week after, I get a call that Triple G is fighting, of all places, at the Garden, and that's the finale for the documentary, right? And there's no better opportunity to go and get that footage than with Triple G at the Garden. So they adjusted their finances, and they took the film crew over there, and through Triple G's attorneys, and we're all friends because we all work with the Klitschkos together. They got permission from the Zone and Madison Square Garden for us to film at the Garden. So the footage we got was tremendous, man, tremendous. And we did some filming about 2:00 in the afternoon, and the attorney for Triple G comes. He goes, "Hey, Stitch, did you film in the afternoon?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, you weren't supposed to." I said, "Well, shit, I didn't know." He said, yeah, so the manager of the MGM, he said, yeah, Stitch was here, but it was Stitch, so what we got is the finale. And then this pandemic hit. So, but we got for guys in boxing, Andre Ward, Mike Tyson, Vladimir Klitschko, guys we're going to interview. And then Cain Velasquez, Anderson Silva. Then, I want to get the two Diaz brothers because we're both all from the 209, and but Michael B. Jordan, and so it's gonna be a hell of a film.
Wow.
And then, I want to go back in the summertime to where I grew up in the fields, so I could show them, what the life is like as a farmer. And that's
what's the estimated time for the?
We were looking like about a year and a half in doing everything, with the interviews and all that. But then now everything just kind of screwed things up here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, yeah.
But we could purchase your book on Amazon, you said?
You go to Amazon.com, From the Fields to the Garden, 1 and 2.
Gotcha.
And it's a good book. I mean, they're good books. The chapters are short enough. I always call it, it's kind of book you want to take to the restroom, where you want to sit down and you got 5 minutes, you probably read 2 chapters.
I like those kind of books.
Yeah, no, of course. Just leave it there and just, can't wait to get up in the morning and go to the bathroom. Right? But it's that kind of book. It's a good book, So yeah,
I love it. Hey, we're buying the copies. We're buying both copies, and we're watching the movie. I think the real question is, when are we getting the autograph copies?
Yeah. How do we get some autograph copies?
Anytime you do it, bro. Good try. Now, get the book. Contact me. Mail them to me with a return address. I get them signed for you.
Oh shit! All right, that's done.
There it is.
Done and done.
Man. They're good books, and as you see the front of the cover, I'm standing there with my tap out cornerman jacket, right? Just kind of standing, and behind me are tomato fields. But those actually, I took that picture when I got off the freeway going to my little town through the country road that had tomato fields right there. So I just stopped, took that picture, and that's what they used for the cover. So, yeah,
that's badass. That's
that
so
is
cool.
amazing. I got to tell you, your story is so inspirational. It's like, it's unbelievable almost.
And the thing about them, you're right. They're all true. That's the thing that blows my mind. Yeah, they're all true. Shit just happens, man. I remember when I made the move from Fairfield, California to Las Vegas, I put in for a job transfer. And I knew that because RJ Reynolds was downsizing at that time. So I figured, man, I want to go to Vegas, where the big boys are at. And my school kickboxing was doing well and all that. So I transferred my school to a student. They called me and said, look, there's an opening in Vegas, but you got to be there in a week. And I said, man, I can't be there in a week. I got a family, got this, got a house. So they gave me 2 weeks, bro. I swear, 2 weeks. I transferred my school to one of my students, Randy Bassart. I sold my house, put my family in a U-Haul. We drove 9 hours to Las Vegas. I had to call my mother, tell her I got a new phone number. It happened that quick. It happened that quick, man. Wow. But I came and just to follow my dreams, and at that time it was only boxing. And my first coming out fight was Raul Marquez fought Keith Mullins. Raul Marquez was the IBF middleweight champ, and he ended up with gashes here, and then on the nose, something like 70 stitches. And he defended his title, and that was my coming out party when people said, "Damn, who is this guy?" But I had a lot of kickboxing experience. Guys were getting cut. So to me, the kickboxing was like the minor leagues. And then I came to Vegas for the majors. And then, I knew Dana in the gyms. I was training fighters, and, he was doing pads for the wives and the executives and all that. He was making money. We were the dumb ones. We're working with fighters that couldn't even pay their gym dues, much less pay you for their fights, right?
Yeah.
But that was our passion. And he's the one that brought me into the UFC. So I got to give him credit for that. He brought me in and took me out. So I've been blessed, man.
No, absolutely. To say the least. Well, we're definitely going to be posting the links for everyone wondering for his books. There'll definitely be links inside our description of the video. Check out the books. You got to go check them out. From the legend of all legends. You know what I'm saying? The stories don't stop. The stories never stop, especially in the books, especially with the movie coming out, the documentary. That's what I'm really excited for. That's going to be insanity.
It's going to be fun, man, because a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff that, you guys are hearing now, but man, it's just scratching the surface. Wait till you see my life growing up, you know. So, but before we go, man, let me mention one more because we're talking about
Absolutely.
the fighters, right? So, things just happened to me, right? Number one, Dave Feldman called me, and I got to go experience that, and I became part of the history of doing that. But let me add real quick: when we were in Miami or in Wyoming, from the hotel to downtown was like a mile, and I took a cab or a shuttle to downtown to eat at a Mexican restaurant. And I said, I'm going to walk back, and a mile is nothing, right? But man, I hear this music, Carlos Santana. That sounded like Carlos Santana. And I go to where the music's at, and they got a park there, and they have a little fiesta. And they got this band from LA that is, I mean, it's as good as you could sound, man. So I stayed there for the whole time and then walk back and all that. But anyway, Jay Timms, the owner of, there's a company, CBD Science, that created a cream for cuts. And I got to mention this because it's important for the bare knuckle fighters because I've used them as examples. And they contacted me. Jay contacted me and asked me if I'd be interested in working with him on this product. Well, I get all kinds of offers all the time. And CBD, there's CBD for everything. So I asked him, what proof source do you have? And he said, well, that's what we called you, you know, because you're a cut man, and this and that. And I thought, and marketing is everything. And in this business, you got to sell yourself. So I said, all right, well, listen, here's what we could do. You could go to Florida with me. Let me talk to Dave Feldman and see if, you know, go with me. And as they sew up these guys that get cut, you're in the dressing room. You take a picture of them. You give them the cream. Get their number. They'll give you so-and-so. A week later, they'll send you a picture. Man, the response has been tremendous. I mean, I've had all these guys that have used it, and it just accelerates the healing process. So it's called the Cut Cream, and I'm endorsing it. Yeah, I'm with it 100% because the shit works. And one of the things that we found out through Sheena and someone else is that it minimizes scarring, which is something that we didn't anticipate. But it has CBD, stem cell, collagen, you know, for the moisture, vitamin E for the healing process, and of course, you know, CBD for the inflammation. But the healing process and the rejuvenation of the tissue is the stem cell stuff. So the shit works, you know, and we're using it on bare knuckle fighters. But now this pandemic hit, and I haven't been back to the bare knuckle fight. So please tell Dave Feldman, man, to, you know, keep my seat warm because I definitely want to come back once this, you know, all this thing is under control. But right now it just, you know, I'm home. You know, I'm home,
yeah,
cautious, and, you know, for me, but also for my wife, and, you know, and just, you know how it is.
Yeah,
so we're kind of the invasion of the body snatcher lifestyle right now. And
Yeah.
so you walk out, you got to look around, see if anybody has a mask on or not. And, you know, it's a different world.
yeah.
I get you, man. I get you. I'm quarantined in my kid's playroom right now tomorrow's my last day. I didn't get anything, but I traveled, so I want to take care, make sure I don't give it to my wife or my kid just in case. So,
well, you know, that's a good point because I just turned down this fight in the zone March the 13th because of those purposes. My wife says, well, where are you going to stay at, you know, when you come back? I said, nah, you know, I don't want to put that strain on her, you know, and but it's not so much the bubble. The bubbles are cool. You know, they're well taken care of. It's the travel going from point A to point B because you don't know anybody there. And that's the issue. And that's why, you know, I'm happy to work these shows here in Vegas for the meantime, you know.
absolutely, man. We got to stay safe, and you got to stay safe, man, because we got to see you again in BKFC.
Yeah, please, man. Yeah. And I love that. You know, people ask me, it used to be, what do you like better, boxing or MMA? Oh, man, I like MMA because of the action. Now they ask me, what do you like better, boxing or MMA? I said, no, I like bare knuckle fights, bro. You know, that's the new one. You know, that's it. People now are starting to hit me up on that. And I remember when the UFC first started, the Jim Lampleys and, you know, all these guys in boxing, the UFC is not going to happen, this and that. Shit, years later, they're asking me questions. Hey, man, what about so-and-so? And, you know, so everybody, the wheels started turning and it became a big sport. Well, the same thing with the bare knuckle fights is that Dave is doing a tremendous job with them. And the safety factor is key. And when it first started, guys were breaking their hands because they were hitting on top of the head, and just street fighting. But what's the guy's name? Billy. He's the legend, Billy, the Irish guy. Him anyway. But he's the one that
Bobby Gunn.
He's the one that started instructing these guys and said, "No, look, start from the body and work up to the top, but kind of like from here on down. But up here, that's when guys break their hands. It's usually one or two places on top of the head, where the angle is crooked, or in the elbow where you just jam it up. So those are the two main points of injury. Not that you can't do it on a job. So anyway, they're getting better at it, And Ishay Smith fought in some other organization, and he said, "Man, my hands felt like mush." But I told these guys they have to condition them entirely different than boxing. Well, they condition, without gloves and just, the wax on, wax off stuff.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a whole new world in that squared circle.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. It's crazy. But so about that cream, back to the cream for everybody curious, hit up Stitch's Instagram. It's all over the place. I was just checking it out earlier tonight. Ring Boy's got to get some for the stretch marks, so go check it out.
Hey, take a picture of it first and then send it to me later, man.
You already know.
Let me say that the cut cream is available at Cutman for Hire Supplies, and Juan Ramirez owns that site, and I got to throw a little story because I got stories for all of them. So what happened with Juan Ramirez is a cutman also out of Chula Vista, California, San Diego area. And I have my own line, my Stitch tape and my Stitch Premium tape and the KO Swell, and that's my own line, right? So I would sell them, but I would stay on the road. I was on the road all the time. If I got an order like Friday and I'm leaving, Thursday, I get these orders. I get them late to them. But through a dream, I woke up one day and I called Juan. I said, "Look, man, I had a dream. Would you be interested in carrying my tape and selling it for me? Because I want to keep it going and I just don't have the time." And it was the best thing that happened to him and me. So we teamed up, but now he carries everything that you guys as corner guys or cutmen need. You got to give Cutman for Hire Supplies because these are cutmen that are putting this stuff together. It's not like you go to these other places that have boxing equipment and all that, and they have their stuff, but who designed it, right? Yeah. Here, all this stuff is A-level shit. And then he has kits and all that. So that's Cutman for Hire Supplies, but that's where you could get the cut cream.
Gotcha. CutmanForHireSupplies.com, baby. You know where it's at.
That's it.
Before we part ways here tonight, you got any sponsors you want to shout out? Anything you want to say?
Hey, man, I was so good. You didn't notice I just gave out two sponsors, the Cut Cream and Cutman for Hire.
There you go.
So, those guys, I'm working with these guys. Also, One More Round. You guys remember when I used to have One More Round as my sponsors? That was so when I started with the UFC, the first ones to sponsor me were Tap Out. And Scrape is the one that created the cornerman jackets for me. So he started that system, right? But with that, I could put sponsors on and what have you not. And so they sold the company, and then I went to then One More Round. One More Round came when Mark Zucker, the owner, was looking at Balboa, the movie I was in when Rocky fought his last fight. When I think he's telling his son, I got to go one more round, And he thought, damn, that's good for everybody. You can't quit. You got to take that one more round. And he owned the BC Ethics, a clothing company. So he created One More Round, and he sponsored Matt Hughes as his first fighter. But Matt told him, he said, "Look, man, if you need to sponsor anybody, you need to sponsor Stitch because Stitch gives these fighters that one more round." So we became he's been my sponsor for the longest time. And then, the UFC was asking for this money for these guys. They had to pay if they wanted to play and showing their sponsors on the UFC network. So they were like 50 to 100,000, and Mark just didn't have it, But anyway, so I do the KSI fight with Logan Paul, and Mark saw me because I hadn't seen him in years, but I always believed in One More Round, right? I hadn't seen him, and so he sees me, and he calls me out of the blue, man. So he ended up making my cornerman jacket for the Tyson Fury fight, and it just happened because I told Tyson Fury, I said, look, man, I got sponsors. Do you mind if I make an outfit like your uniform where I could put my sponsors? He puts his hand on my shoulder. He says, Stitch, you can do whatever you want. Just no liquor and no alcohol. So so you'll see my cornerman jacket has one more round. So props to him. Those are my three that I'll stay with forever.
That is awesome.
Shout out. That's awesome.
Well, you guys, thanks, man, for having me here. I appreciate it.
Oh no!
Thank you, man.
It's crazy badass.
It's crazy, but look at that.
That is terrifying.
That almost looks like a Bigfoot toeless sock.
Yeah. Would you say it was terrorist?
Just a comparison of hands.
Yeah, it's crazy, man.
But absolutely, man. Stitch, it was a pleasure. It was an honor having you here. The stories were amazing. I think I'm going to have to cut every story and put it out by itself because they're amazing on their own, man. Thank you so much for being here. I think the fans throughout the whole time, they've been commenting on your stories and anecdotes and just your professionalism and how much the fighters seem to love you for what you do for them. So thank you again. And you're an inspiration to us. And we would love to have you back at some point.
Hey, anytime, man. And one thing I got is time, bro. And like you said, more stories. We would love to hear them again. Hey, listen, man, I've been blessed, and if if I can inspire one or two people, because I'm no different than anybody. People say, "Oh, Stitch, you're a legend," and this and that. Well, yeah, that's fine and dandy, man. But if you and I crack a beer, I bet you we're the same guys. And that's the way I want to stay.
Well, you definitely inspired people today because I think Phil Johnson said you inspired him so much he's going to learn Spanish now.
Yeah, no, I saw that. Órale, hey, you gotta learn Chicano from us, bro.
You inspired three guys right here too, man. Your story is unbelievable. I'm so grateful you came on here to tell us it. Thank you so much.
No, it's no. I got to tell you one more story. You got Kevin.
One more round, one more story. Let's go.
Well, I'm always humble because my parents were humble, and we came from humble beginnings, and how you respect people, right? That's number one. But what happened to me is before I moved to Las Vegas, and I've been here 25 years, I came here for a boxing show. And after the fights, it was a Don King card. We had the after-fight party. And if you guys remember Randall Cunningham, quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles. Yeah, he lives here, but at that time he was a big superstar. Me and my three brothers, and we're nobody. I'm still Jacob at that point, right? We're talking to him, and one of Don King's guys comes up to him, and he says, "Hey, Randall, I need to talk to you." Man, in front of us, he looks at him and says, "Hold on." He goes, "Let me finish talking to these guys." And I tell you what, man, I felt that surge of pure respect for him, that we were nobody, and he was, but he respected us as being people. Now, he's a pastor here in Las Vegas, and I haven't met him yet, but when I do meet him, I'm going to relay that story. So, and Kurt, oye, ¿cómo va? Anyway, a lot of stories, man. We'll continue whenever you guys got time.
Absolutely, we would love to have you. I mean, we'll have you every day if we could, man.
Yeah,
this was awesome. We will definitely be in contact. Thanks again. Like I said, people are loving this. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
All right, my man. And remember, you tell Dave, man, keep my seat warm, bro, because under any other circumstances, I'd be there. But it just,
something tells me your seat's forever reserved there.
All right. So, I'm in. Thanks, Scott, for the Hall of Fame induction. It's my first one. And as a matter of fact, I had a friend that called me this morning that we were way back kickboxing. And the old days where, oh, man, Stitch, I remember, or Jacob, you remember when you were freaking out and I told you relax? A minute's a long time. Way back then. But he told me, he says, all right, let me just ask you this one question. When you make it to the Hall of Fame, am I invited? I said, Tank, you're invited. So that popped up today, and then to get this from Scott is pretty awesome.
Hey, Scott's gonna hook you up. I know he is. I know Scott. He's gonna hook you right up.
I'll tell you what. When you go up there to be inducted, make sure you announce it, and I'll come up and watch it. I know Clay.
Yeah, I'm only
we'll be there.
away, man. I'm only a couple hours away.
Yeah. All right. Well, appreciate you guys, man.
Hell no, we appreciate you.
So send me your address. I'll send you this. Hey, little fanboy.
It's already sent. It's already. I know.
All right.
All right. Thank you very much.
Choke D Cop. Bye-bye.
We appreciate you.
Thank you, Stitch.
How do I get out of here, man?
I gotcha.
As always. Oh,
Hey,
holy shit.
we did it. We did
Boy,
it.
can you believe that? That guy has to be the most. You know how they say the Dos Equis guy? That's the
Most interesting man in the world.
We're gonna meme Stitch into that guy. You know, Stitch is the Dos Equis guy now.
That was an amazing interview. Thank you to the fans out there too for sticking around. I mean, there was no other reason to not stick around. The stories were just unbelievable. So, but thank you for engaging with us and letting them know how much you appreciated him being here. So hopefully he'll be back now. I think he had a great time as well. So.
He literally said that MMA bare knuckle, bare knuckle just takes the cake over boxing, MMA, kickboxing for him. That's crazy. I mean, that happened on our show, guys.
Absolutely.
Hey,
but
this man has seen it all.
Let's not drag it on too much because we're ending on a high right now. We're ending on Stitch. Thank you for coming.
I always end on a high note.
Thank you for being here. We will have Stitch again. And until next time, everyone, knuckle up. Thank you. Have a good one.
See you, Big Dog. I seen you talking about January 9th, dude. That's what I'm excited about. Tryouts, baby.